What is up, booktube? It is Monty, and today I am back again, once again, with the start of another video. Today we are doing something, I don't want to say different, because I've done reading vlogs before, but I do know that this month is the time that Summerween happens, and I'm not really a spooky yuki girl. I'm not a spooky yuki girly. I don't see the appeal of the spooky yuki. I've read, my mysteries, my thrillers. I do avoid horror, generally speaking, because I am a scaredy cat, but so that was never going to appeal to me. But last year, I got to thinking, what if I brought back, I say brought back like this was ever a thing. And to my knowledge, it really wasn't. Really wasn't a thing. Um, but growing up, I feel like it was a thing. Maybe in my head, maybe in my little family. But in my mind, this was definitely a thing. And so I said, I'm going to bring it back because the the spooky yuki people, they have like a readathon every season of the year. But what I want to do is bring Christmas to July. So if you're watching this, it should be July 25th, which is, let me open my calendar. It's a Tuesday. I don't usually upload on a Tuesday, but happy Christmas in July. I don't own anything like overly festive. I don't have like Christmas sweaters or um, Santa hats or decorations of any kind to throw up in the background, but just know in my heart it is Christmas time. And so that means however long this little video is a Christmas themed reading vlog where I'm going to read all the Christmas books that usually get sidelined to the month of December, where, no one's really reading them. Like sometimes they do, sometimes they pick them up, but I'm going to bring them here. I don't have any other, winter holidays because it's Christmas in July, so I will be reading mostly Christmas stories. Maybe in December when I come back for Vlogmas, I'll try and celebrate the other winter festivities. But right now, in the month of July, I'm all about the Christmas spirit. And I'm so excited for the Christmas spirit that I've already finished my first little Christmas novella. So it is The Heart of Christmas, a Stonewall investigation holiday short. So it's a little novella and it's taking place at a Christmas party. So the Stonewall investigation series by Max Walker is pretty it's like a little expansive. There's like 9 books in this series and I've read 2 of them. I read the Miami situation. They started off as like a little boutique private investigations agency in New York, where they try to help queer people. And then they went from New York to Miami. So now there's a Miami office. And now I think there's like getting in on the small town craze. I think there's like a more rural office somewhere where it's rural. I haven't read it, so I don't know, but I've seen the covers. I first came across Mac Walker a couple years ago when I first moved to Kansas, and I was like, I see all these little Kindle Unlimited reading vlogs, and I see people reading all these little KU romances, and nobody seems to be reading the queer ones by the men. And so I came across Max Walker, and I read 2 of them, and they were good. And so reading the little holiday short in this little world was fun. I do think some of the characters that I had read were present and accounted for, but this is really the story of 2 men and they've been dating for like 5 seconds. So they're at the company Christmas party where they're attempting to solve this little holiday game. It's like a murder mystery situation where one of them is like killing, like Santa's a killer and they have to find out who the Santa killer is. But it's also interspersed with some more like erotic moments. It's only 84 pages, so I think it balanced it well between these little erotic moments and solving this crime, like playing the game. And it was cute. It was really fun. And part of the 84 pages is like, I feel like it's the back matter, so it might be closer to 75 pages or so. And so for 75 pages, I had a really fun time. It really did feel like we were in the Christmas spirit, just with more sucking and fucking. So, it is it is what it is. But I think just because I did like the Stonewall investigation world, I just like these. I like Max Walker. And so it really worked out for me. And, it really did what it set out to do. It set out to play a Christmas game and it set out to be a little steamy. And so it was steamy and we played the game and it was satisfying. Like the clues fit together. It all made sense. Each steamy scene really did play into the game of the book. So I liked it. 4 to 5 stars. My next read, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be yet, and I'm not sure how many of the things that I've checked out are going to be. I don't think I've checked out anything that is super what is the word I'm looking for here? Like super obscure. I feel like all the books well, maybe The Heart of Christmas, because Max Walker does not get any love. Recently, the other person I read in that original KU video I did, Tal Bauer, he's getting a lot of moment now because he has like a hockey romance, and hockey romance is what the girlies are reading at the moment, or at least a couple of them. So I know Tal Bauer has been getting a lot more hype and praise, but they've always been good. Always been writing good romances over there. So, like I said, I don't know what I'm going to read next or how many or how long this video is going to be, but I just wanted to come in, jump off with the vlog, let you guys know that I've started what the project is, what the thesis of my month is going to be. And so far, so good. Like, I'm having a good time. I'm not regretting this decision. I'm having a good time. So, I'll be back later with my next little update on whatever it is I plan to read. But see you then. I'm currently streaming with Aaron doing some buddy reading, sprinty sprints. But last night I finished, not even last night, yesterday, I read Always in December by some author whose name is eluding me. So one moment. I want to say it was Emily Stone. Yes, Always in December by Emily Stone. And this book is simply not a romance. I'll put the cover up over here. So I guess all that little searching was not necessary, but I read it and it's not a romance. So we start off with our main character whose name is eluding me. Let's just click on this little thingy so I can get their names again because it's fucking stupid. Okay. So we have Josie, and Josie's parents were dead. They died when she was a child, and every December she writes a letter to them because I think they died on Christmas or Christmas Eve or whatever during the Christmas season. So the book starts in December, and she's going to mail off this letter. There's some stuff. There's some other stuff happening with her job because that's part of the story is her having this job that she's not super happy with. And so she's going to mail off this letter that she does every year. And she runs into this man named Max on her bicycle. And she runs into a taxi cab and there's this big kerfuffle. And that's what brings them together. And so this book is told in like 4 different parts. And so the first part of this book is their whirlwind romance leading up to Christmas between Josie and Max. And it's actually pretty cute. And then they hook up and the book kind of flips on from there. Because for the next 6 months, these two people are not together. They're not together. They see each other. They run into each other through various happenstances and like things are happening and it's kind of like fun. But this is a contemporary book. It's not a romance. And the Christmas elements, while they're important because, you know, her parents died around Christmas and it begins and ends around Christmas, the Christmas elements also are not there. And so I guess I'm kind of happy that I read this book in July because if I went into this assuming that I was going to get a Christmas romance out of this because it was on Christmas romance lists, which is the only reason I picked up any of these books. Any book I'm reading for this project is because it was specifically on a list of Christmas holiday romances. Also, I feel like that's important, romances. So we're expecting a happily ever after. For the first part of this book, I was a little confused, not trusting it because it was only from Josie's point of view. And so when we were doing this little whirlwindy moment, I was a little bit, I don't know what's happening here. And so then when we got to the second part, which I think was set around April, I was a little bit happy at first because it was Max's point of view. So I was like, okay, so maybe it's going to be like a second chance situation where we see them meet and hook up around Christmas, and then we'll see them in the rest of the year trying to, you know, make it work or feel like, hey, maybe this can actually be something. But no, that's not what the book is going for. But we do get Max's point of view. We get to see him again. And then the book jumps to around September. And we're back with Josie. I think it's in September. We get this little, one of her friends is getting married. And so her and Max are in the same vicinity again. And there's this idea of like, maybe they'll be able to make something work out between the two of them. I'm going to stop beating around the bush now because at the end of this book, Max is dead. Max dies. The entire book, he's had cancer, terminal cancer that he knew about and he didn't want to say anything about. And that's kind of why they hooked up and he went on his merry way. And also why he was trying to push her to like accept this job offer and do these other things and continue living her life because he knew he was going to die. And he didn't want to tell her until the end of the book where she thinks that her grandparent is dying, which is traumatic because, again, it's around Christmas and she already lost her parents. So the only family she has now are her grandparents and I think like an aunt. And so she's thinking that like, okay, one of the few people that she still has around is, you know, dying. And she gets to the hospital and this man has like left her a letter saying, hey, yeah, I'm sorry, I had terminal cancer. I never told you. And I just hated it. I hated it. I wanted to... I already thought this book was just kind of okay. Like, it wasn't the world's swooniest romance. It wasn't like, ooh, these people have electric chemistry and I can't wait to see them, like, get together. But I was like, it's fine. You know, it's like pretty middle of the road. Like, it'd be decent. But when we got to, yeah, I have terminal cancer and I'm dead, I'm done. So, yeah, 1 star. Didn't like it. Don't read this book. Particularly if you are like me and we're looking for something Christmassy and we're looking for a romance and you just wanted the warm feels. So yeah, this was a swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Like, it's not horrible. Like, the actual quality of the book is probably like a 2 star. But it's not a romance, not a Christmas book. So hate that for me. Um and now I know better. So I think I have another book by Emily Stone that I have checked out. I don't know if I'm going to read it, but I do have it. So there's that. We'll see what I do there. But I'm going to go because when I be recording and I'm live streaming, sometimes there's issues with the audio and I feel like things are lagging. So I'm not gonna strain my computer too much. But and also there's construction happening. So if you heard any like hammering or nailing or whatever, I do apologize for that as well. But I'm going to go and I'll check back in when I have read another romance, and hopefully it's a romance this time. What is up? So I'm here at Dylan's to pick up a few last minute. I feel like this is very crooked. I don't know. Anyway, here to pick up a few things, but I am in the middle of Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. In the long tradition of all these other girlies, this has now been traditionally published. I think this is at St. Martin's. Love that for them. I'm listening to it from the library. I think it's the audiobook from St. Martin's. This blew up last year. I feel like 2020, again, like this was kind of like the year for all the girlies to go mainstream. Like usually it was Bloom. Bloom was getting in the game. I think, which is a Sourcebooks imprint, if I'm not mistaken, which y'all know how I feel about Sourcebooks. And then Berkeley picked up a couple. And like I said, this one I believe is at St. Martin's, so Macmillan. This is not a good book. Like, point blank period, it's not very good. The premise of this book is our main character, who has a name, whose name is not important to me. She is the owner-operator of a Christmas tree farm in the New England area. I don't know where they are in New England, but they're not too far from New York. So, love that for them. So, she's running this little Christmas tree farm, which is apparently down in the dumps. It's not very good. It's the subject of like local teen vandalism. There's a whisper of a plot line about somebody creeping around the Christmas tree farm in the present, where I'm at 63%. Somebody was just there vandalizing some stuff and they had been propping open the barn. So I'm sure that's going to come back into play. But the actual thread narrative of this is that this woman, who's the owner operator of this Christmas tree farm, is trying to get, you know, her struggling company to not be a struggling company and to be a thriving company, right? And so she puts in this application to this social media influencer because she thinks that if this influencer comes to visit the farm and does like an Instagram shout out and like a YouTube video or whatever, then people will flock to her farm because it'll have more exposure. It's like risk-free advertising, which I do think makes sense. I think that, sure, yeah, go for it, ma'am. Do it. Do that thing. And so in this application to this person to come out and visit, she has said that she is dating somebody she's running this farm with, and she's not currently dating anybody. So the book opens with her trying to convince like the grounds person to come out and like be her fake boyfriend, and he's like, no. You should ask the person who you're basically already dating, who have a flirtationship with, like what is going on over there type dynamic. And so she eventually does. So she goes over and she asks this man, hey, will you be my fake boyfriend? And immediately from the first initial conversation, he's like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And it's also not only, yeah, let's do it. It's very clear that he is not interested in this being fake, and that for him, this is 100% real. Because they've already had conversations like, well, it'll be weird if, you know, the influencer comes here and everyone in town, because it's a small town, everyone in the small town's like, oh, they're not dating, like our cover will be blown. So they announce it before the social media person like arrives. So they do that, and then she gets invited over for Thanksgiving dinner. And so like so much of this book is them fake dating, which again for this man is very clearly not fake dating. For her going like, oh my goodness, what's gonna happen when we break up? Even though this man now has said twice, they've had 2 conversations, and both times she's talked about it and she's thought about him, going like, oh, he just wants to go back to how things were, when it's very clear that this man is like, we're not gonna stop, like we're just gonna keep going. And like this being a single perspective is so frustrating because this woman is a fucking idiot. Like, I'm sorry, she is just too stupid to function, let alone save her thriving farm. Because this is the part that really killed me. So her farm is struggling. But when they find out that the social media person is coming, the entire town is talking about, oh yeah, we signed up for all the tours. We all hung up our Christmas decorations. We got you, girl. And it's like, if you got her, why is the farm struggling? Like, what? How is it so bad if y'all got her? Like, I understand that you can't do all your business for the 200 people that live in your town, but the way that she was talking, it was like, ain't no one coming, like, no one was paying her visits. No one was thinking about her. Like, she was just off alone with a wish and a prayer trying to keep this farm alive. And it's like, so you have some kind of bedrock of support, okay, but we don't also see her, like, doing other things to save her farm. It's just like, oh yeah, the social media influencer, that's going to be it. And maybe, you know, again, I don't know this alleged influencers marketing and like this, that, and the third, and like the return on investment, although really she's not really investing a lot because she's not doing anything to like spruce up the farm in order for this person to get there, which again, 63% of this book, and they're fake dating for this person who's not in the picture, and they're not really even fake dating because this man is really dating her. She's not, I just don't understand what she's doing. I don't understand her running a business. I feel like her business is poorly run and she's stupid. She doesn't need to run a business. And she, quite frankly, is too stupid to date this man. I feel like if you're dating if you are being very upfront and honest, saying, oh, what happens when, you know, the influencer leaves and we have to go back to normal? And he's like, well, we just don't, like, why would we don't have to go back. Like, we can just keep doing what we're doing. We can just stay together. Like, you met my mom and my sister and my aunties because, you know, I come from a big Italian family. Like, it's just, she's stupid. She's stupid. And so, like, I think this is fun. Like, this was fun on KU, you know, like, included in your $13 a month. I think at the time this book came out, it might have been $10 a month still. So included in your monthly fee, I think this is cute. But a standalone sticker price of $20, y'all are getting scammed. Y'all are getting scammed. And I think it was Jess from Peace Love Books. I think they did like an interview with BK Borison last year because they've done a lot of author interviews, and I've enjoyed watching them. And I think BK Borison in the interview was, you know, very personable, and I enjoyed seeing them talk. Like, they're like, I don't, nothing against this person personally, but it's just like a standalone sticker price. This book is not delivering. It's not delivering a romance. It's really not delivering a fake dating. And if you're fake dating for a specific purpose, I feel like that purpose needs to happen. As much as I think fake dating is childish and like we don't really need it anymore in grown people romance, if you're gonna put in a grown person romance, then the reason needs to be in the book. And this social media influencer is not in the book. And the entire town is like, again, 12 people. One of whom is like the sheriff, who was like her not sugar, that's not what I was looking for, her surrogate gay daddy. And like, when the sheriff was revealed to be a gay character, I was like, cool. I would rather follow him because he actually seems like an interesting person with some brain cells. But where I'm at right now, I'm not really loving this book, and I'm a little bit, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm disappointed. We started off this video with the KU romance, you know, that little Heart of Christmas book. It was a little smutty Christmas novella. It was delicious. It was a fun time. It was Christmassy. It was, you know, sexy. It was fun. It had a little murder mystery moment. I mean, it was a fake murder mystery, but still, like, it was well woven into the plot. I think that book was 80 pages. I would have paid, I don't really pay for ebooks, but if I was going to pay for ebooks, I would have paid, you know, the little, I don't know, $2.99, $3.99, it's indie. I paid $3.99 for those little 80 pages. You know, I would have been perfectly content with that. But if I had paid for this and I read it, I would be very upset. So I'm going to go, I'll check back in when I have finished, but ultimately, I don't really think my thoughts are really going to change that much on this book. Hello. I'm just popping in really quick because I'm doing sprints with my patrons, and I've gotten to 80% of Lovelight Farms by BK Borison. And we've gotten a conclusion to the mysterious happenings at the farm storyline, and it's fucking foolish. And I just need that noted in real time. The influencer lady has appeared at the farm. This whole thing is giving very foolish. I'm probably going to give this book like 1.5 stars, rounded. I don't like it, so I'm probably not going to round up, but this is just, I'm annoyed. I just needed that noted. So I'll check in later. What is up? So you're probably gonna hear the wind because I do have my windows cracked. For once, it's so nice. I didn't need to mention this. It is so nice to get into my car and not have it feel like a fucking death trap. Love that for me. But I think that's gonna be I think today's the only day it's gonna be like this. Because it's gonna be hot the rest of the week. But I finished Lovelight Farms so long ago. So fucking long ago. Today is the 12th. My problem with Lovelight Farms is that I did not like the fake dating in this book. I thought it was raggedy. I thought it didn't make any sense. And it was just silly. Not only was our male love interest, whose name I've already forgotten because I finished this book, not only was he from the beginning of this book telling our female main character, hey, I really like you, I want to be with you, like, I don't want to break up with you, like, I want to be your boyfriend, and she was just completely oblivious, too stupid to fucking function. Then we had a situation where the business was being, like, run ragged. We had a situation where we found out who was sabotaging this business, and, like, sure, there's a side of me, I haven't, like, researched prison abolition, but, like, there's a part of me it appeals to, not gonna lie. I was like, what do we get from, like, locking this man up? Like, the property is still damaged, like the profits have already been lost. But to me, it was giving a little blasé. It was giving a little blasé that this man was like leading you down a road to financial ruin. You were out here stressing, claiming to be poor, heavy on the claiming, to be poor and like you couldn't afford anything. And that you were financially ruined, your employees were financially ruined, but like you didn't want to do anything to this man. Eventually that was addressed. Like, I was happy that her coworkers were able to talk sense into her, because for a minute there, it was looking like she was going to be like, oh, I'm just so quirky and I'm so poor, but I can just live with this tens of thousands of dollars in financial ruin that you're causing me because I'm just so quirky and poor. Like, it was silly. It was fucking silly. Then the influencer finally shows up, right? So finally, what we've been building toward, the situation where the reason we need to be fake dating is here, falls fucking flat. Like, it's a little foolish. The book doesn't really have enough time to grapple with it. It's just kind of silly. And like, in a Kindle Unlimited, this is free with your subscription kind of way. I'm okay with it. You know, like, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie marathon during the holiday season, right? Like, everybody does it. Freeform, Hallmark, random channels, TBS, CBS, well, not CBS, but like TBS, TNT, all like the FX, all the cable channels. They'll be like running movie marathons during the holidays, but you know, Christmas or Thanksgiving or Halloween, like they do these movie marathons. And when you're sitting there as a child and like there's nothing else to watch, and you're just like watching it, some of the movies are going to be hits and some of them are going to be misses, but it doesn't matter because it's just like, it's part of the vibe, right? And so I think this as part of a vibe, sure. But like asking someone to pay $20 for this as a standalone book, I don't, like, that's where you kind of lose me. It's where you kind of, I don't know. And it's not the characters were bad. I really did like the groundskeeper. He was easily my favorite. If he and the little influencer have a book, I haven't researched the series since I heard people talking about it, but if the influencer and the groundskeeper had like a reconnection, because I think it was actually the groundskeeper. I think when I was reading this book, I had a reading comprehension error, and I thought her love interest had to hook up with the person, but I think it was the groundskeeper. And if it was a groundskeeper, I would probably read that book because I did like him as a character, and I liked the baker person as a character. But like overall, her being a businesswoman, I thought was a little bit silly, just because like I don't think she was running the business very well. Like, it didn't seem like it was ever going to be a profitable institution, and she seemed really reluctant. And like, again, like there were some like nice elements talking about how, like, you know, she didn't grow up with a lot of money, and like she didn't really want to charge admission to the park. But it's just like, you can only, like, part of your business is only going to be profitable some part of the year, right? Like, selling Christmas trees is really only going to happen but for so long, because you can't, one, even if somebody wants like a small Christmas tree, you're probably not cutting down that tree until like midway through November. Like, you know, like, I've never had a real tree in my house, but like, I'm just thinking, like, if I cut a tree, like, no matter how much I'm trying to water this tree, it's cut. You know, like, the sooner you cut it, the sooner it's gonna die. Like this. So people actually purchasing a treat, it seems a little bit silly if you're not doing other things. I'm like, clearly running the bakery and their employees is not bringing the cash flow because you're quirky, and my pantry is full of ramen noodles, but we only ever see her eating takeout. We never see this bitch cooking any of the ramen noodles allegedly in her cabinet. So it's just like, so I didn't think she was a good business person. I didn't think that, like, I don't like love interests that are just so fucking oblivious, and it's like, it's plainly obvious, patently obvious. And I think this is another reason why we don't really get his perspective, because it would just be so bad if we had to see this man. The book does end with his perspective, so spoiler alert, the epilogue is told from the male love interest point of view, and it's fucking foolish there. So it was bad. Also, I don't think the end of the book did any favors when we were having this revelation moment where he was like, yeah, I saw you in that hardware store and I just kind of fell in love with you, and so I would just walk around town hoping to find you again, which could be romantic, but to me it gives me the heebie-jeebies, not gonna lie. Like, I'm happy that you thought I was cute or whatever, but knowing that you purposely went out of your way to walk around town trying to interact with me because you wanted to smash, very weird. And then you were like, yeah, and then I became your friend because I really wanted to fuck you. Again, red flag alert, red flag on the play, flag on the fucking play. What are we doing, sir? Don't admit this shit. And so it just really started to come off like he befriended this woman because he thought that she was hot, and one day he was gonna get the pussy, and he got the pussy in the end of the book. And I just said, I don't know if I want to reward that kind of behavior. To me personally, it just gave real creeper status. Didn't like it. And I was rooting for him the whole book, because I said, it's very clear that you have feelings for this woman. It's very clear. And also, there are some details in their friendship that just never seem like, but I'm just like, some of the stories you were telling, they just don't even, like, you just have to be, it just didn't make any sense. I'm sorry. Like, it was just giving full on, where was the platonic in this relationship ever anyway? It just, so I didn't like this book. I did not like Lovelight Farms. And so there's been a couple of days now since I finished that book, where I've been trying to do some other things. So as soon as I finished Lovelight Farms, I was in the middle of, let me just close this because the wind is really winding now. So I finished it, and then there was a couple of days where over the weekend I was doing a readathon for Erin and her patrons. So I was trying to read books for that project. And then it was also the same weekend that my Patreon poll ended, and so I was trying to read that. So I did read a couple of things. If you want my thoughts on family lore by Elizabeth Acevedo, that vlog is up on the Patreon now, probably. I'm going to assume that's the case over there. And I read a couple other things for that project. I talked about Your Lonely Nights Are Over by Adam Sass, coming out in September. That was a good book. I read a nonfiction about the police that's in that vlog. I'm reading another nonfiction currently about the opioid epidemic that's going to be in that vlog. So lots of things have been read, but I've been trying to avoid reading another Christmas book until I came and talked about Lovelight Farms, because in my head that just made sense. It made sense. Like, I'm juggling too many vlogs at the moment. I'm trying to keep them all straight. I'm not sure it's working out for me. My brain was not meant to handle this. I feel like I have made several more mistakes have been made, but I'm here. In my head, the next little the next Christmas book I'm going to read for this vlog is A Princess for Christmas, because that entire series is available on Hoopla on audio, at least through one of my libraries. I'm hoping it's available through both of my libraries, because I know that I'm approaching the limit. I'm approaching the limit with one of my cards, and so I'm gonna need to keep doing that, because I have another vlog that I'm working on, my year-long project. I'm trying to be proactive because there's 17 books I still need to read, and there's only 5 months of the year left, and July, we're nearing the halfway point. So I'm really trying to buckle down and get as much of those books knocked out, and they're all available on Hoopla. So I'm trying to ration my audiobook situation there. I'm trying to get back in the love of Hoopla. There's a couple of months where I just kind of wasn't using it, but it's so convenient because it's like instantly available. I love it. The selection might not be as great, but when the book is there, it comes in clutch. So don't be like me. If you have Hoopla and it's available to you and it's not being banned from you, go utilize it. But I'm gonna go because I need to go pick up, I think I'm gonna go get a pizza at Hy-Vee, because it's where it is cheapest today, according to the couponing that I did a little bit ago. So I'm gonna go pick that up so I can meal prep for the rest of my week this evening and not have to worry about making food right now. But y'all don't care about that. Maybe y'all do care about that. People really like lifestyle content, but that's just never gonna happen over here. What is up, you guys? It's me. I am back because I have read and finished a Princess for Christmas by Jenny Holiday. This is the first book in a little companion moment that everyone read a couple years ago. I know a Duke actually, I think is the second one. That was beloved. This one was fun. It was fun. It was giving everything I wanted it to give. It was nonsensical. It was a little foolish. Like the odds of a princess just meeting a random taxi driver and them having this whirlwind Christmas romance. It was fun. I am on the king's side though. Like I don't think these people are really cut out for a long-term relationship with one another. And I kind of refuse to believe that it'd be like a good idea for them to get married. And I do think that she is putting the entire company, the entire country that she is a princess of in jeopardy by marrying this man he was fine. Like, I don't think that, what was his name? Leo? Yeah, Leo isn't a bad person. He's very salt of the earth. His parents are dead. He's raising his younger sister. It's a fun, wholesome story that is giving very much Hallmark vibes. And, you know, for the moment that you read it, it's fun, it's light, it's fluffy, and it's a good time. I gave it 4.5 stars on my spreadsheet. I will round down to 4 when I eventually put this on Goodreads. I just didn't, I just don't believe that they're in it for the long haul. But for the 2 days that I spent reading this, it was a fun time. The smut in this was interesting. It was probably better than some of the traditionally published romances that I've read. It was also giving a little bit foolish. It was hard to take seriously at times, but you know what? It was fine. The steam was present. They did have actual conversations as well. Like they did have to recognize that, like maybe this is a bad idea, but they're going to do it anyway. And Leo, I don't know, there's some flip-flopping he does. In like the latter half of the second act of the book, that was a little bit silly, but overall, it was a fun time. I do recommend it. I will be reading Duke actually. Probably not next though, because it is already the 17th. Christmas in July is rapidly approaching. So I want to get to Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane, because this is a book I actually own. Like it's sitting on my personal shelf. And so I should probably read this specifically because this was an actual Christmas present. So reading a Christmas present in the Christmas vlog feels appropriate. Speaking of presents, I have another present. This is a belated birthday gift from the good friend Melanie. Oh. I used to have scissors. Male key it is. Melanie used to make bookish content on the internet. I think she still, what did I think? I know she still runs her blog. But she's really a K-pop girly these days. So if you're a K-pop girly, yeah. I don't know why I'm saying, like, people know who Melanie is. Y'all remember Melanie. Or maybe you don't, because they haven't made content since, like, 2019. But I'm weak. Okay, I am not a K-pop girly, but I'm pretty sure I should have seen this coming. Because I definitely joked about reading this because I was not going to purchase it. But I am now. It is bubble wrapped. I am now the proud owner of the BTS book that all the Swifties thought was the Swiftie book. So I'm weak. I think Melanie has been like annotating her copy, and I think she's on like chapter 3 or something. Okay, there's like pictures. The font is actually, let me not get the pictures. The font is pretty big. So even though it's pretty chunky, it's a chunker. Also, I do have to say, this is like the saddest little dust jacket. I will say that. BTS, I feel like y'all deserved a better jacket, and it's prettier naked. So it might just go on my shelf naked, and I'll put this in my little Mortal Instruments box set box for safekeeping. But even though it's almost 500 pages, it's pretty big. So I feel like I could catch up. It's not a Christmas book, so I won't be. It's only 7 chapters. That means she's almost done with the book, but it's okay. This obviously won't get read in the Christmas vlog because I have this to read, and I would like to actually get to the sequel of this. I doubt I'm gonna get to the 3rd book, but I think I can read this and Duke Actually by the 25th, if I believe. I know Duke Actually is on Hoopla, so I can get the audio for that, so that'll help me get through it. And I know I want to read Duke Actually because this was such a winner, and I don't think this is going to be a winner. I read, was it my last book? I think my last book of last year was Alison Cochran's first book, and it was bad. It wasn't good. Like, that's really all I got for this clip. Thanks for being here. And again, thanks to Melanie. I'm going to try and catch up so we can actually be a buddy read. I'm going to try and catch up. I don't know if it's going to happen because I'm going to try by the end of July. Hi, it's me. It's Editing Monty, and I just want to say that I did not catch up with Melanie. I think the day after I filmed this clip, she like finished the book actually, or like a couple of days. But I do have it still, obviously. It hasn't gone anywhere. And this is what I don't think I actually showed the cover, but this is kind of why I thought that the dust jacket was not giving. Like it's just a little sad. I mean, they look fine on the cover if you're an army person. But this is gonna get its own little reading vlog. So I don't think it's gonna be the next reading vlog I post. I think the next reading vlog I post is going to be a different standalone vlog. But this will be in August. So you have that to look forward to. I'm going to try and I don't know, be army for a week or something and read this and report back and let you guys know what I thought. So it won't be up to date, it won't be release day vlog, but this is coming. So look forward to that if you want. I just needed to to update because this clip is a lie. I did not catch up with Melanie and I did not read it by the end of July. And I probably won't read there's time. There's a couple of days, but I doubt it. This is the face of a man who is not recording audio, and I'm worried that my camera is going to die. It might not die, but we might get the ugly little red moment in the corner because I technically record from the viewfinder. But we're gonna make the most of it. Hopefully it doesn't bite me too much in the ass. So last I spoke to you guys, I was telling you that I really enjoyed this. I was really brief because this really is, I think, a cotton candy piece of a book. It's pretty chunky for a romance. It's 388 pages, which some people think is too long. And for the amount of time that we spend with these characters, it is a lot. It's split between New York and the country of Eldovia. Is that right? Yes, Eldovia. They meet the princess and this taxi driver in New York City. And eventually he decides to go back home with her for the holidays. There's reasons in the book, but it's a little giving, again, flimsy, a little whirlwind romance, but it was fun. Like, this is what I wanted when I was setting out to read this. I wanted something that was light and fluffy and not something that I would ever go like, oh, this could happen. So I did appreciate it, even though I don't think that Leo or Marie are really good for one another. And I do think that they're just doomed to fail. Like, it's definitely, she's going to divorce this man, but for right now, she seems to be happy. Love that for her. Then I was supposed to pick up Kiss Her Once for Me. I was supposed to read this. I talked about it, and I'm still going to read this. This is going to be what I'm reading next. This is going to be book 98 of the year. I'm saving book 100. I'm doing a detour. I don't have time for detours, so I'm doing a detour to read the little BTS book. So I'm going to need y'all to watch that video when it drops because it can't flop. It just can't. I refuse to let that happen. And so because I wanted to continue with this project, I did get Duke Actually, which is the sequel to A Princess for Christmas, on audio via Hoopla. So I listened to this over the course of a day, and it was good. It's not excellent, but it was good. Here we're following our main characters, Maximilian and Danny. Danny is the taxi driver from the first book. They're best friends and neighbors. And then Max was engaged to Marie, and it was more like a business arrangement. And so over the course of this book, which is set mostly at Christmas, but also at other parts of the year, which I did appreciate because I did think that we got to see Danny and Max's relationship blossoming from like him just trying to get in her pants to them having like an actual friendship to them like maybe being able to stick together. If I had to pick people who are going to stick together, I would kind of believe this. The reason I don't give this book a full 5 stars, and I'm sticking with the 4, is that there were some parts of the book that were just didn't click all the way. So Jenny Holiday is a white woman, from what I know. And I think Danny is she talked about like visiting family in Ecuador, I think, at some point. But she's also, I think, described as being like a Mexican American. So like I don't know what she's going on, like what kind of background she's supposed to have, but her dad is from Latin America somewhere, and her mother is a British person. I don't know, like I appreciate the attempts. There was several parts of the book where her identity was kind of a major focus. I don't know, like it's just something about it just didn't sit well with me. Max has a queer brother who I saw the attempts at Max trying to be supportive and like between people, like it was fine, but there was also some conversations there that just felt a little off, if you will. Like they didn't pass the vibe check. They kind of failed the vibe check, but it was very clear that the heart was in the right place. So like I wasn't offended, but I was kind of like, it was kind of giving early 2000s for a book that came out in 2001, I think. Not 2001, 2021. It's coming out a little late in the game for some of the discussions that were happening there. It was a little bit foolish. And then it's also like the brother never gets a book. Like we're not getting the 3rd book in the series is not from the brother. It's not even from like the brother's bodyguard, because it's of course it's a bodyguard romance. I think the 3rd book we go back to the royal family and we're following someone in their orbit and like a tourist to the country of Eldovia. I do think that the book ending in Eldovia was also I also think the way the book ended was a little bit of a miss for me. I do think that while the character had definitely grown and like the arc was there, I do think that where these people ended up it just wasn't the place I wanted them to be. Like I wanted them to be together, but where they are when they ended up together was a little bit, I don't know. And again, some of the behavior at the end of the book was a little bit just kind of wasn't personally for me, and it felt a little bit weird. So I did have a good time. I do think that it's a fun little set. I do have the 3rd book in the series checked out, but so far I've read a lot of straight people, and so I'm going to the lesbians, or I don't know how people identify in this book, but I'm going to the queers and Kiss Her Once for Me. I've heard nothing but positive reviews about this book. I think Tammy had something that was a little more like lukewarm, maybe, but I've heard good things. But I also heard good things about Charm Offensive, and that book was offensive. So I don't have high hopes, but I own it. I asked for it for Christmas. It was a gift. So like I'm going to read it. I'm going to attempt to go in with an open mind. And, I really do want the Sapphics to win. Like when the Sapphics win, I feel like it's really major because so many of their books are misses. Like they just be teeing them up and then they be missing the ball. So even if it's not for me, I hope that I'll still be able to see what other people were getting out of it. So this is going to be my next book. I'm going to attempt to read this. I want to say today, but like it's already almost noon and I really just don't want to do a lot of reading. So this is the next book that I have to get through. I might see if I can get it on audio, if that's available to me, so I can actually get through it, because the idea of reading a book physically right now is not super pleasant. My brain is like not functioning at the moment. So I filmed my update this morning. I went to the library. I returned some books that I wasn't going to be able to get to before the end of the month. It felt silly to hold them hostage when a couple of them had holds and I wasn't going to be able to make the project that I wanted to make with them, because this little Christmas video has taken longer than I anticipated, because I have just not been marathoning through these books the way that I thought I would. And instead of using the other books I checked out, I've been checking out like nonfiction and using that as a palate cleanser. I'm not sure that people really care about that, but it doesn't matter. So I filmed that update and I started listening to Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane as I walked to the bus. And so I wound up listening to around 30% of that between the bus ride there and the bus ride back. And this book is not good. And I like, it's not good to the point that part of me doesn't even want to finish the book, um, which feels a little surprising actually. Like, I didn't like the charm offensive, but I really thought that this book could do something. But I guess let's take it back. So I went into this book knowing that it's a sapphic story, and the cover of the book definitely tells you that it's going to be sapphic in some way, and so I don't think that it really surprises you. What surprised me was like the like, this is actually the part of the book that bothered me. So the first part of the book, we are meeting our main character, Allie. I think her name is Alina. It could be Alina, Natalie Naudis. If I do finish this book, it's only for Natalie Naudis. Like, she gonna see me through some bad books. But Alina, whatever Alina her name is, we find out that she has moved. Actually, the book starts in the past. So we're seeing glimpses of this day that she and this mystery girl spent a year before the book starts. And we come to this conclusion, or the revelation is made, that this was like a perfect day. It was a beautiful day. She fell in love with this woman. It was all this, that, and the third. Love that for her. Then we flash forward to chapter 1, and we see her. It's back in December. It's kind of like the snowy, not good day. She's like talking down on the city of Portland for like shutting down, which is wild to me a little bit. Oh, wasn't it? Was it Seattle or Portland this past winter that was shutting down because of just like the geographics of the city and not really being able to handle weather? Like, I don't know. I think it's weird to have a character from the Midwest where, snow is expected a lot, and so there's like infrastructure. I just think it's weird when characters in cities live in cities with infrastructure that is not built for snow, talking about, oh, it's like barely snowing, and like it doesn't really matter if it's 15 inches or 1 inch or half an inch of snow. If the city isn't built to deal with that, then like of course it's going to fall apart. So I didn't care about this character complaining about her city not being built for snow, because it's like, ma'am, you decided to live here. Like, you wanted to go work for Leica, which, okay, congratulations. You want to be quirky. I understand that Alison Cochran lives in Portland. It's on the back of the book. Like, okay, right, what you know. But like, ma'am, there are so many animation studios that aren't in fucking Portland that you could have gone to go live in, but whatever, we're in fucking Portland. Also, I think there was a thing going around like on Goodreads or on Instagram last year about how all the sapphic books were suddenly taking place in Portland. And it was just like, okay, I guess like if you have a sapphic book, you have to set it in Portland. I don't know. Like, if you want a weird city, Santa Cruz is right there. There's no fucking snow in Santa Cruz. It's right there. Go set your book in Santa Cruz. It's prettier. Anyway, no shade to Portland. I've never been, but like Santa Cruz is right there. As long as you avoid the E. coli infested beach, you're good. You're golden. Anyway, I keep hitting this. This is bothersome. So we are seeing her running to go to her little coffee shop. I do think it's kind of amazing that she works part-time as a barista for $15 an hour. And we understand that her rent is being hiked up, but like the fact that she could afford rent it all at $15 an hour, I'm just like, wow, you go, girl. Like, I understand like you were living a bit of the hell, but you found a place for you work one job in Portland, and you have groceries allegedly and an apartment allegedly. So okay, love that for you. The part of the book that really bothers me is her relationship with her parent. Her mother and her father were divorced when she was younger. And she's very much like, oh, I want my mommy to love me. And I'm just like, girl, it's giving pathetic. And I say it's giving pathetic because I guess like her mother is like making her pay back her like childhood expenses, and like that's part of the reason why she's like a broke girly. And I just listen, it's giving a little pitiful because in my big age, like I guess I'm a little bit older than the main character of this book. I think the main character in this book is like 25 years old. But like in my big age, I find it really hard to believe if my parent wanted to come at me with like, here's my credit card statement from 2000, and you're gonna have to pay me back for this. Like, I really need that money. I just would not send the money. Like, it's a little pitiful that this woman is like, yeah, I'm gonna send you the money, mom. I'm gonna send you the money, even though I can't feed myself or my apartment is like rent hiked. Like, what? Like, it was a little sad. So we're seeing her at work. She's the sad woman. And then in comes the landlord of the building. I'm saying landlord because like that's essentially what he is. Like he owns the building. His family owns a lot of buildings in Portland. He's uber wealthy in that way. And we come to find out that this man and her, like, she has a crush on this man to the point where her coworker at this little barista coffee shop place, I don't know why I said barista, like it's a cafe. Anyway, that her coworker has like teased her about this man before. And so one thing leads to another, and she didn't get this promotion that she'd been kind of angling for, which is part of the reason why she's all sad and pitiful, because she can't pay her rent, she can't pay her mom, she can't do anything. Like, she's just crying in the bathroom. And it's, the weather outside is frightful because it's Christmas. So, Christmas song references. And God, we love a Christmas carol moment. And so she agrees to go, like, let this man drive her home. And along the way, they stop for drinks, and then drinks leads to them talking. And it's them at these little drinks where they had like discuss about this is a part of the book that just it's not good, and that like it just feels like setup. It's nothing about this book feels organic. Like, I think even like the Jenny Holiday books, Duke Actually, A Princess for Christmas, none of those things are happening in real life. Like a princess of a small European nation is not flagging down some random taxi driver in New York City trying to get to this boat where she's going to um meet this man and try to save her country from economic collapse, because the only major export of the small European nation is $300,000 pocket watches. Like, it's ridiculous to an absurd degree, but Jenny Holiday made it work. And so I'm sitting here reading this little drinks between this man and this isn't like, I guess technically she's not his employee, like she just works at a business that he owns the building for, which is weird. But he's like flirting with her and telling her about like how his granddad died. Well, I mean, that was in the paper, so she's like, sorry about your granddad or whatever. And he's like, yeah. And it's kind of sad because nobody knows this, but I actually have to get married in order to get this thing. I understand like this is a very common trope. I understand that it's like marriage of convenience is like bread and butter for a lot of people. I feel like if you're going to have a marriage of convenience, it has to be executed a lot better than this. And this is just giving foolishness, because along the way, there's been a couple of chapters where we're going back. So mind you, like all this little sad, pitiful shit is happening in the present with her not being able to afford anything and crying, and her mommy's asking for $200 and she doesn't have $200. And this man is talking about his dead grandfather and how he has to get married to get $2 million, which like all this for only $2 million is a little bit ridiculous, especially when we're talking about like the level of wealth that these people allegedly have, owning half of downtown Portland, like whatever. But along all of that, we're also getting flashbacks to this day that she spent with this magical mystery girl named Jack. And then there's some shit that's gonna obviously blow up, because again, this book is so heavily foreshadowed that it's written for like 5-year-olds, even though it's supposed to be these people in their 20s. But we're getting flashbacks to this day with Jack. It's gonna come back later. And the day they spent in December, and how it was just so magical, and she'd never been in love with that with anybody else in her entire existence. Mind you, half of the storyline in the present is her still hung up on this woman for a year ago, but all of her friends, like her coworker and her actual best friend who was studying for the bar in Chicago, and if Allison Cochran was like a normal romance writer, we would probably get a book set in Chicago following this friend at some point, but Allison Cochran just be writing these one-off books that whatever. Anyway, they're like trying to set up on these dates, and she's like, oh, I just can't do it. I can't be on the apps. I can't do these things because I'm a demisexual. So like, I just can't have a hookup. I can't hook up with anybody because like, I just have to have a meaningful connection. Meanwhile, in the back of our minds, we're reading this other storyline where she just ran into this girl at Powell's. I wasn't gonna say at a Barnes and Noble, but it was Powell's City of Books, because of course it was, because we're in fucking Portland. Anyway, she ran into this girl at Powell's, and they definitely smashed in the fucking Airstream in less than 13 hours of knowing one another. Like, and it's bothersome because like I have to keep reading these little flashback moments between Jack and our girl Oliver. And again, I just can't get over calling these people Jack and Oliver, but like whatever. I think Allison Cochran just needs to be stopped. Anyway, so we're reading these little flashback moments, and it's like, I just don't believe it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that this is some kind of whirlwind romance that you had over the course of 12 hours with this random person. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's go back to the present storyline, where Elena, whatever her fucking Lena, and this man are talking and partying, and drinks at the bar leads to a night of clubbing, leads to a promissory note on a napkin, on a dinner napkin, wherein if she agrees to marry this man for 1 year, he will cover the divorce costs and she will get $200,000. Again, doing all of this for only $200,000 just seems not the greatest. Like $2 million, while to me would be a lot of money, to this man it seemed like a drop in the bucket. And I understand that $200,000 to her would be a lot of money, but I don't think it's gonna be necessary. Like $200,000 in living in Portland is not really life changing money. I kind of refuse to believe it. Between the fact that like you're not buying a house in Portland for $200,000. She allegedly, we have that student loan money that's apparently going to come back into play. Her mom is asking for money that's going to come back into play. And then again, we have like this little web comic where she's using her name. Allegedly, it's anonymous and no one's ever going to figure it out. But like, ma'am, you're using your real name and you're not really changing the stories that happen to you. And so I think that people would be able to put two and two together at some point. So that's obviously going to be some kind of third act contention. But where we're at in the narrative now, her little fake fiance and her have shown up at the Christmas cabin, which isn't really a cabin. It's like a rich people cabin because, again, like, of course it is because these people are fabulously wealthy. And so it's going to be a family affair up there with this little fiance, two grandmothers, the mother, and his sister Jack, and the non-binary best friend who the fake fiance is like low-key in love with. And obviously there's gonna be some like partner swapping by the end of this book, and Jack, because of course everyone who's going into this book knows that Jack is going to be here. But for the first 30% of this book, like literally, this is the other part of the book that I think is a little bit pitiful and a little bit just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Is Oliver again has this crush on this person that she's fake engaged to, and literally before Jack stepped back into the book, she would have been perfectly fine marrying the, like, not perfectly fine marrying this man, but like she was attracted to him. She obviously was going to go along to get along for her little $200,000 check that, again, I don't really think is going to be life-changing money for her, but whatever, we're here. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but now, Jack is back, and so it's like flashing her back to this one magical day they spent together. And again, I talked about this at some point in this video where we have Allison Cochran again writing these little half Asian love interests, and it's giving a little weird. I don't know, like there's something about this book that just feels, I would argue it feels worse than The Charm Offensive. There's something about it that just, it does not move my spirit well. And I don't know, like when people were promoting the book, I really thought it would be like a marriage of convenience. Like usually when someone tells you, oh, marriage of convenience, like these people are, it's like strictly a business arrangement. I do think the what is the word I'm looking for? I think that the math changes slightly when the person that you're in the business arrangement with is definitely someone that you were interested in. You know what I mean? Like it's different if like you're just this is the difference. So in the Jenny Holiday books I just finished reading, Max, who was in Duke, actually, he was a love interest there, and Marie, who was the princess from A Princess for Christmas, they had an actual business arrangement wherein Marie needed to marry. Max's parents wanted him to marry. Well, you can't get much better than the princess and future queen of our small European country. And so they were going to get married, and they were going to use like IVF or a turkey baster to give the kingdom an heir, but they were not really romantically interested in one another on either side of that arrangement. Like it just was something that it would be advantageous for both of them. And so getting to see each of them find someone that they actually were in love with and actually wanted to be with was a joy to be around. And so if Max and Marie were much like our girl Oliver, whatever this man's name is, that'd be one thing. But Oliver at some point did actually have interest in this man. And so it's just weird. Like the book is only from her perspective. So like, again, giving us a single perspective romance is just silly. Also, this is gonna be making me a horrible person, but when the main character of a romance novel has some kind of like anxiety, like I'm sure it's relatable to the girlies. I'm sure the girlies are eating it up. I'm sure like the mental health representation is like actually important to have in books. But when it's in a romance, it just manifests itself in like this insecurity that, again, is always just giving pitiful. Like it to me doesn't give relatable. It just gives like maybe we should focus on ourselves, and maybe when you can, I don't know. It's just like if every thought in our main character's head is just like, oh, I'm so not worthy. I want to be a worthy person. I just want my mommy to love me. Like, I don't want to be there. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't tune into this book to get, I don't want my mommy to love me. My mommy hates me, but I'm going to keep calling and texting her as though, like, maybe one day she's going to wake up. Even though, again, allegedly her mom has been this way since the age of 9 years old. And at some point, again, I guess she has no money. But just stop sending her checks. Stop sending her checks. Just stop sending them. So that's where I'm at in this book. Like I said, I do low-key want to DNF, but I'm probably not going to. It's just not good. Like, it's not. People have this as their best book. People gave this book. There's no way. If this book could get 2 stars, it would be an achievement. But this is just bad. And I feel I'm so hopeful because I was like, okay, 2 Jenny holidays, and I liked each of them. Like, I had issues, right? Like, there were things I didn't like in A Princess for Christmas and Duke Actually. But I was like, okay, it's not me. Like, I am actually having a good time. Like, I am not the Grinch who stole Christmas. But reading this, I'm just like, Oliver, I ship you in singleness. But I'm going to go because it's, like I said, it's late and... I should go. I don't know if that's really helping. We're just gonna go with it being super close. Woo. This is chaos. What is up, you guys? It is me, it is Monty, and I'm here to wrap up this vlog. At some point in the past, I was talking to you guys about Kiss Her Once for me. It's been a couple of days. It is currently the 24th. So I have to end the vlog here. I had other books. I had delusions of reading a lot, and I wound up reading 6 things. We're going to go over it. But first, final thoughts on this girl right here. I feel really bad because, as you guys know, I asked for this for Christmas. It was on my Amazon wish list. And so this was purchased for me. Like, Melanie spent our hard-earned, I think it was Melanie, hard-earned money to pay for this. I think Melanie actually gave this 5 stars. Aaron gave this 5 stars. Mina gave it 3.5 stars. I'm giving it 1 star. This book is foolish. It just is. I'm sorry. Ellie Oliver, she's raggedy. The little love interest in this book, Jack's raggedy. The plot line she has with Jack's brother, Andrew, raggedy. It's all kinds of pathetic. I will say that there's a moment between Andrew and Ellie at the end of this book. And that was the only good part of this book to me. I think that was like truly the highlight. I really appreciated what Andrew did at the very, very end. It was quite literally like the least he could do, but it did make me feel good that that happened. And so I do applaud him for that. But Ellie, raggedy. I don't care if she has all kinds of anxiety disorder. Like, maybe that's just me. I'm sorry. Like, every romantic heroine just can't have anxiety, or they can, but I'm just never going to fuck with it. Like, it's not relatable to me personally. It wasn't cute here. There were all kinds of twists and turns that were just foolish. It just was. And I'm very much not here for books where I'm supposed to believe that Ellie and Andrew are out here playing pretend, trying to fake and do all these things, and then for the family to act like the way that they did in this 3rd act, because it just wasn't believable. Like, it wasn't believable that Andrew and Ellie ever had conversations, let alone were meaningfully engaged. And so to Andrew's mother, she's just stupid too. Like, everybody in this book is just too stupid for how old they're supposed to be. I just don't care. Ellie and her mother, again, that's just really sad. Like, I'm sorry. Like, maybe it's just me and my big age, but I truly cannot understand what was possessing her to send money that she did not have to a mother she did not care for just because she wanted parental approval. Like, again, like, there are some deep-seated issues here that being in a relationship, you just can't do. Like, I think that's kind of the problem with some romance to me, is also that, like, it's really trying to be general fiction. Like, it's trying to throw everything at these characters. And you can bring in a serious thing into a romance. Like, I think people who have generalized anxiety disorder deserve a romance. I think that people who have issues with their parents deserve to find someone to be in love with. That's fine. But what you're not going to do, like this book wants me to believe, is get Ellie and Jack and make me believe that they're going to be able to form some kind of meaningful relationship. Like, the book wants you to believe that Jack was the most important person to Ellie ever in the existence of her life a year ago when they met for the first time. But a year ago, she does nothing to try and get that relationship to work. Also, we have a character in Jack who I'm going to spoil this book. So if you don't want, I'm going to say it's a spoiler because literally nobody ever talks about it. Like it's just not part of the conversation about this book. So just know that this was the worst book I read. This series right here, I am going to continue on and read the third book. This is Christmas, where we are following Mateo. Looking forward to seeing Mateo. I'm gonna read this book. It was good. The Max Walker was a good book. That was a 5-star little smutty moment. Love Max Walker. Hasn't disappointed me yet. If you have Kindle Unlimited, he has a bunch of stuff. It's kind of like a low-key interconnected in that or at least one of his series is interconnected, where it's like this little investigation and the investigations are never like too serious. He just wrapped up a trilogy that I haven't read yet, but I know he just wrapped up a trilogy, and he announced a fantasy romance for all the fantasy romance girlies. So Max Walker, that was a good one. And then Lovelight Farms, ass and titties everywhere. Just bad book. So anyway, now that I have spoiled and we've recapped, let's get back to this. So our main character here, her love interest, Jack, the Asian character. Jack is married, or she was married a year ago, and that was kind of why they couldn't be together at that time. And so the book tells us that, I'm married, I'm Jack, I'm married. And then we have to find out that her wife was polyamorous, but Jack wasn't really polyamorous, which I kind of call bullshit on. Just because to me, it's just giving a little unserious for you to be married to somebody. And for your wife at the time, you're not even conversating about let's just get a divorce. I don't want to do this, which you think you would do. But your wife is I'm polyamorous. I'm going to spend Christmas with my girlfriend, which also I think we need to have a conversation about how polyamory was in this book, where her wife Claire was low-key. You could argue, I wouldn't use the word coerce or pressure, but that's, I don't know. But she was trying to push at least Jacqueline to explore the opportunity, and she told Jack you go have a little one night stand, but I'm gonna go spend Christmas with my girlfriend, even though again Claire is married to someone who does not seem to be polyamorous, and quite frankly doesn't seem to really be on board with the lifestyle. And so her to go off and be with this girlfriend it's weird on a number of accounts, but whatever. But she's telling her wife, go get you a little one night stand moment. And so Jack goes off and does that, and then according to Jack, while she is seemingly married and I guess unhappy because she doesn't really want to be in this polyamorous situation, but also she is exploring it instead of just getting a divorce. You know what I mean? If you are married to someone who's polyamorous and they're spending Christmas with their girlfriend and you're not really down for that, I think that you could just divorce them instead of just, going out to get a one night stand like she does in this book, but whatever. And so then on that same day that, our girl Ellie's falling in love with her, she's allegedly falling in love with her as well, but she's also claiming up and down she's not polyamorous. So which is it? Were you in love with your wife and in love with our girl Ellie at the same time, making you polyamorous? Or were you never in love with your wife and you just couldn't get a divorce? It's just weird. The entire past storyline is stupid. The moments in this book where she's out here writing her little comic strip, dumb. Again, Ellie is supposed to be poor, but she is out here at the end of the book claiming that she's literally living in a closet, literally living in a 2x5 foot room, literally a linen closet. Bed barely fits. You can't even. Ain't no room to take off your shoes when you enter her bedroom because it's a fucking closet. She ain't got no money. But again, the book also wants you to believe that you're going to work part-time, making barely minimum wage, paying rent in Portland, sending money off to your mama, paying her student loans. Now she's living in a closet. She's jet setting all over the United States talking about, I'm going on vacation to Chicago to meet up with my homegirl. It's unserious. Nothing in the book is serious, and it wasn't fun, and it was just bad. Nothing in this book was good. I didn't like anybody. Again, Andrew and Dylan were fine, but Andrew and Dylan they weren't even cut out. They were still just traced on a piece of sketch paper. Who else is in this book? Jack, like I told you, was giving unserious. Ellie was insufferable. Don't care what the excuses, what the diagnoses are. Didn't care for her at all. So overall, like I said, this was a bad book. Probably the worst book I read for the entire project. If I was going to rank them from best to worst, let's see here. I would probably say A Princess for Christmas is the best, just because it really delivers on the head empty, just vibes part of the project here. It's not great literature, but it was fun. And then after that, no, that's wrong. The Max Walker's number one, then A Princess for Christmas, then Duke Actually, then Lovelight Farms, which is still bad, barely a romance. Oh, this can't be worse, actually. Then I'm gonna put what was that? Always in December. That wasn't even a romance. Was still somehow better than whatever this was. So, yeah, this was a failure. And I'm feeling like the Grinch, but we tried. It was a not so holly jolly Christmas for me. But hopefully, if I circle back around in December to reading some more Christmassy books, maybe in December they'll hit. But I was trying to do something special and different, and the universe just laughed in my face all month. So this is where I'm going to leave you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys again soon in another video, probably a wrap up. But until then, and until next time, bye.